Hey everyone, welcome to Continued Woodcraft. I'm going to show you how I'm turning this slab of wood into an end grain serving tray. So I skipped a bit ahead and we're jumping straight to the glue up. I did go ahead and I cut all these pieces. I trimmed that board down. I also went back and I had a second piece of catalpa and I actually cut a couple extra pieces from that board to get me this length. It's now about 24 by 16 solidly. And I've actually never heard of catalpa before. It's a hard wood, but supposedly it's very soft, which is why I'm making a serving tray out of it instead of a butcher block, because they did say it's a little soft for that, and you'd probably cut it to pieces before you got into anything. But I still like the look of end grain, which is why I'm turning this into an end grain cutting board. But the way I cut this down is I first cut it into the 1.5 inch pieces that you see standing up right now. Then I went and trimmed everything down so that it was straight and flat. And then, as you saw with that video, I cut off the ends. So now it's just with the glue up. I'm going to glue this up, and then after I glue this up, I'm going to cut it a second time to make little 2x2 squares that you'll see in the end. So I did forget to mention in the last clip of my video that I was going to have to put this through the slab flattening joint just to clean out all the wood and get any inconsistent levels out of it. Now I have to go through and just cut a nice clean edge that we can base the other side off of. And I have to do that, I'm going to use my circular saw. And I just have a straight edge joint with my level like I always do, which is the easiest I've found to do this. And I'm going to be doing it in 3 passes. I'm going to be doing 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches, and then finally cut through. I noticed if I take too large of a chunk with my circular saw, it veers off, and I really don't want that with this, so I'm going to be extra cautious and do it in 3 rounds. So it helps to make sure you actually have a working battery when you're about to do this. Also, I was thinking 2 inches for the width of these squares, not 2 inches for the thickness. This is only 1.5 inches, so this was actually done in 2 cuts, as you can see. So now with the one clean edge, we can start making extra 2-inch cuts right here. I don't have to worry about any of the other sides because I'm going to be gluing this up again, and so I'm going to have to clean up this side, and then this side will be cleaned up with the last cut. So here's the second and final glue up. And as you can see, I added quite a few more clamps on this one just to really make sure it all came together and there'd be no issues. The one thing I did add that's actually really important, I should have added the first time, is these 2 pieces right here that are going across. These are just there to make sure this doesn't have any unintentional bowing in it, and it keeps it as flat as possible during the glue up. Really, you shouldn't have to worry about this piece too much, because if you're tightening these all the way it should be, there should be no bowing, because over tightening is what causes that bow. The other thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing a glue up like this is you want to make sure, since I wasn't planning on doing any offset pattern, I just want to make nice uniform squares. You want to line up all these across. Once this glue dries, we can repeat steps 3 through 5 that you just saw, and then we can put the finishing touches on. So this is now winding down. So I repeated steps 3 through 5. I got this sanded down to 240 grit sandpaper, and I was originally going to just do traditional inset handles in the bottom. However, I decided I wanted a little different look on this, so I'm going with a 50-degree cut and bevel around all 4 sides, just to give it a little bit more modern look is what I'm hoping for. Then after that, I'm going to sand it down, all the sides down to 320 grit, and then we can finish it. So let's keep going. All that's left is to put the finish on it. One thing that's really cool that I'll be interested to see if it comes out when the finish is done is there's these silver lines that started coming out when I was sanding it. As you can see, this is a piece that I just had left over, a cut-off piece. And it doesn't have the silver in it, so I thought that was really cool. So the finish I'm putting on is just raw walrus oil, and it's just a simple wipe in, wipe off, and go from there. I'm going to end up doing 2 coats. The reason I chose this finish is because it is food safe. So with this being a serving tray, it's probably going to be around quite a bit of food. Don't want that to be hazardous. I do have this board up on painter's razors, or I'm not sure what they're exactly called, to keep it off the table, and I have silicone mats down to protect my work surface, which I learned the hard way from another project where I got it all over the workbench, and then I had to spend 3 hours the other night cleaning it off. Once this is done, I will show you what the finished product looks like. Here's the board completely finished. It turned out great. However, you can tell that catalpa is a pretty soft wood because if you look right here and right over here, there actually was punctures from the paint risers I was using to keep it up off the table. And if you look at the back, it's even worse. It looks almost like it was shelled by artillery back there. Another note is if I ever made this project again, I would definitely use brand new blades as I'm cutting it, because just from my planing router, and there's a couple little holes in here, and because of a saw, it got a chip out right there. So I would just use newer blades for this, but I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to comment, smash that like button, and subscribe to my channel. That way you never have to remember to spell Kittity again. Thank you. Bye.